She'd stopped looking in mirrors. 53, 20 pounds heavier than her wedding dress. Gray threading through her locks. Candace Warren knew what the world saw, a middle-aged woman past her prime, invisible, irrelevant. Christmas Eve, and she was alone. Her daughter chose Tokyo over home. Her ex-husband chose a younger woman over their vows. She'd made peace with it. This was her life now. Then her doorbell rang. Levi Brennan stood there, older but devastatingly handsome, a billionaire who could have anyone. The boy she'd left behind 30 years ago. And he was looking at her like she was still 17. Like time hadn't stolen her beauty. Like she was the only woman in the world. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you emotional stories that stay with you. If you're new here, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss a story. And if you're returning, thank you. Your support means everything. Now, stay until the end, drop a comment with your thoughts, and let's begin. Candace. Her name in his voice. After 30 years. She forgot how to breathe. Levi. The word came out broken. He looked older, silver threading through dark hair that used to fall across his forehead when he laughed. Lines around his eyes that hadn't been there when she left for college. But those eyes. Still that impossible blue that used to make her forget her own name. Your mom gave me your address before she passed. He held out the poinsettia, red petals bright against the December darkness. She made me promise I'd check on you. Said you'd be alone tonight. The container of lo mein slipped from her hand. It hit the doormat, noodles spilling across the welcome sign her daughter gave her 3 Christmases ago when things were still good, when her marriage was still intact, when she still believed in permanent things. You talked to my mother? Her throat felt tight. For the last 5 years. He bent down, scooped noodles back into the container with his bare hands like it was nothing. Like he wasn't wearing what had to be a $2,000 coat. Every few months. She'd call and we'd talk about you. How you were doing. Whether you were happy. Whether you were seeing anyone. Candace's legs went weak. She gripped the doorframe. She never told me. She said you wouldn't want to know. Levi straightened, held up the destroyed lo mein. Can I come in? Or would you prefer I stand out here looking pathetic in the snow? She stepped back. He walked past her, bringing cold air and the scent of expensive cologne and something underneath that was just him, unchanged, the same smell she used to bury her face in when they'd sit in his truck after school, parked by the lake, pretending the future wouldn't separate them. He set the poinsettia on her coffee table, placed the ruined takeout in her kitchen trash, turned to face her in the small space. Too big somehow, too present, too real. You flew here. She couldn't make it a question. From where? San Francisco. Well, I have a place there. And New York. And London. He shoved his hands in his pockets, looked almost embarrassed. I sold my company 3 years ago. Software. Made enough that I don't really live anywhere specific anymore. The words hung between them. Software. Company. Sold. The boy who used to fix her grandmother's computer for $20 had built something big enough to have multiple homes across continents. Your mom was proud of you, he continued quietly. Talked about your architecture firm constantly. Said you designed that new community center downtown. The one with the glass atrium. That was 8 years ago. Candace's voice came out steadier than she felt. She's been talking to you for 5 years. Why didn't you contact me before now? Levi pulled off his coat, draped it over her armchair without asking. Underneath he wore a dark sweater that fit him in ways that made her look away. He'd filled out since 17. Broader shoulders. Stronger. Like he'd spent the decades building himself into someone who could carry weight. I tried. He met her eyes. 4 years ago. Showed up at your firm on a Tuesday afternoon. Walked right up to the reception desk, asked for you. They said you were on your honeymoon. So I left. Her second marriage. The one that lasted 18 months. The one where she tried to convince herself that companionship was enough, that passion was for young people, that she should be grateful someone wanted her at all. I'm divorced now, she heard herself say. 2 years. I know. Your mom told me. He took a step closer. She also told me you stopped decorating for Christmas. Said you work 70-hour weeks. Said she was worried about you. Heat crept up Candace's neck. I'm fine. You're eating lo mein alone on Christmas Eve. You're standing in a stranger's townhouse uninvited. You're not a stranger. His voice dropped. You're the woman I've been trying to find for 5 years. The one I let walk away when we were kids because I thought loving someone meant letting them chase their dreams without holding them back. The one I married someone else trying to forget. The one I got divorced over because my ex-wife said I talked about you in my sleep. The air left the room. Candace's heart hammered against her ribs. Levi. I'm not asking for anything. He held up his hands, took a step back. I promised your mom I'd check on you. That's all. But I'm in town through New Year's. Staying at the Ritz downtown. And if you want to get coffee or dinner, or just sit somewhere that isn't empty and quiet, I'd really like that. Why? The word ripped out of her. Why now? Why me? You could have anyone. You're successful and you clearly take care of yourself and you're. She gestured vaguely at him, at his face, at the way he stood in her living room like he belonged there. I'm 53. I'm tired. My daughter's on the other side of the world and barely calls. My career's fine, but it's not what I thought it would be. I eat takeout alone and fall asleep watching Netflix, and I can't remember the last time anyone looked at me like I was worth noticing. Candace. He crossed the space between them in 2 strides. His hands came up, hovering near her face, not quite touching. Can I? She couldn't speak. Nodded. His palms cupped her jaw, warm and careful, thumbs brushing her cheekbones. She'd forgotten this. The way touch could unmoor you. The way someone looking at you, really looking like you were the only thing in the universe worth seeing, could make you feel like you were dissolving and solidifying at the same time. I've dated, he said softly. After my divorce. Models. Actresses. A venture capitalist who spoke 4 languages. And every single time I'd be sitting across from someone beautiful and successful and interesting, and I'd think about you. About the way you used to laugh at my terrible jokes. About how you'd steal my fries but swore you weren't hungry. About the night before you left for Howard when we sat in my truck until sunrise and you told me you loved me but you couldn't stay. A sound escaped her throat. Not quite a sob. He caught it with his thumb against her lip. You think you're invisible? His eyes searched hers. I've been searching for you for 5 years. Your mom wouldn't give me your number. Said you needed to come to me when you were ready. But she gave me updates. Told me you'd gotten divorced. Told me you bought this place. And when she called me 3 months ago, said she was sick and didn't have long, she made me promise that I'd find you after. That I wouldn't let you disappear into that loneliness she said you were drowning in. Tears spilled hot down Candace's face. His thumbs caught them. I'm not 17 anymore, she whispered. I'm not that girl. I don't want that girl. His forehead dropped to hers. I want the woman who survived 2 divorces and kept building things anyway. Who lost her mother and showed up to work the next week. Who's standing here telling me she's tired and invisible when she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Levi. Have coffee with me tomorrow. Christmas morning. That cafe you like on Piedmont. Your mom mentioned it. Just coffee. No pressure. No expectations. He pulled back enough to meet her eyes. And if you want me to leave after that, I will. But give me one morning. Please. She should say no. She should protect herself. She should remember that fairy tales don't happen to 53-year-old divorced architects who eat Chinese food alone and stopped believing in permanent things. But his hands were warm on her face. And snow was falling outside her window. And somewhere in her chest, something that had felt dead for a very long time flickered back to painful, desperate life. 9 a.m., she heard herself say. Don't be late. His smile broke like sunrise. I've waited 30 years. I'm not going to be late. He stepped back, released her face. The cold rushed in where his warmth had been. He grabbed his coat, moved toward the door, then paused with his hand on the knob. Merry Christmas, Candace. Merry Christmas, Levi. The door closed behind him. She stood in her living room, heart pounding, face wet, the poinsettia blooming red and alive on her coffee table. Outside, snow fell harder, covering the street in white, making everything clean and new and possible. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Levi. Your mom gave me your number a month ago. I've been staring at it every day trying to work up the courage to use it. Sleep well. See you at 9. Candace looked at the poinsettia, at her reflection in the dark window. A 53-year-old woman with lines around her eyes and gray threading through her locks and a heart that suddenly remembered how to beat too fast. She picked up her phone. Typed. Thank you for coming. His response came immediately. Thank you for opening the door. She smiled. Actually smiled. On Christmas Eve. In her empty townhouse that didn't feel quite so empty anymore. Tomorrow she'd have coffee with the boy who became a billionaire. The one who'd been searching for her. The one who said she was beautiful when she couldn't remember the last time someone meant it. Tomorrow felt impossibly far away. Quick pause. If you're feeling the story, hit the hype so others can find it. Comment where you're watching from. Now back to the story. Candace didn't sleep. She lay in bed watching her ceiling. Heart doing things hearts shouldn't do at 53. Racing. Stuttering. Forgetting how to find rhythm. At 3 a.m. she gave up, took a shower, stood in front of her closet like she was 17 again trying to figure out what to wear on a first date. Except this wasn't a first date. This was coffee with a ghost. With the life she could have lived if she'd been braver, less practical, less convinced that love wasn't enough to build a future on. She chose a deep purple sweater dress. Simple. Nothing trying too hard. Let her locks fall loose around her shoulders instead of pulling them back into her usual professional bun. Minimal makeup. Then more makeup. Then back to minimal because who was she kidding? At 8:47 a.m., she walked into the cafe on Piedmont. The one her mother loved. Where they used to meet every Sunday before the cancer got bad, before her mom couldn't taste coffee anymore, before everything became hospital rooms and morphine and those final conversations where her mother held her hand and said things like, "Don't wait too long to live, baby," and "Some chances come around twice if you're paying attention." Levi was already there. Corner table by the window. 2 coffees waiting. He stood when he saw her, and something about that simple gesture, standing when she entered a room like she mattered, like she was worth the effort of movement, made her throat tight. You remembered how I take it. She stared at the coffee. Light cream, 1 sugar. The way she'd drunk it at 17. The way she still drank it now. I remember everything. He pulled out her chair. Waited until she sat before taking his own seat. You cried during the notebook. You hate cilantro. You used to hum when you studied. You wanted to build houses that felt like homes, not just structures. She wrapped her hands around the warm cup. That's unfair. What is? Remembering me better than I remember myself. His smile was soft. Sad around the edges. Your mom said you stopped designing homes. Moved into commercial projects. Community centers. Office buildings. Parking garages. Commercial pays better. It's more stable. Is it what you want? The question landed heavy between them. Outside the window, Atlanta was waking up on Christmas morning. Families heading to church. Kids dragging parents toward stores already advertising post-holiday sales. Normal people living normal lives where they didn't have coffee with their high school sweetheart who'd become a billionaire and looked at them like no time had passed at all. I don't know what I want anymore, she admitted quietly. I spent 20 years building a marriage that fell apart. Then another trying to make a second one work. I climbed the ladder at my firm. Made partner. Bought this place. Did everything right. And I'm sitting here on Christmas morning feeling like I missed the actual life while I was busy checking boxes. I know that feeling. Levi leaned back, cradled his coffee. I built my company from nothing. Worked 100-hour weeks. Made my first million at 32. First billion at 46. Married a woman who looked good on paper. Had the house in San Francisco, the apartment in New York, the villa in Italy. And I'd wake up some mornings and forget where I was. Forget why any of it mattered. What changed? My wife asked for a divorce. Said I was a ghost. Said she'd spent 8 years competing with a memory. He met Candace's eyes. She wasn't wrong. Every major decision, I'd think about what you'd say. Whether you'd approve. Whether you'd laugh at how seriously I took everything. Whether you'd tell me to lighten up and remember to actually live. Candace's chest hurt. Levi, that's not fair to you. Or to her. I left. I chose my career over us. You chose your dreams. There's a difference. Is there? She took a sip of coffee. Perfect temperature. Perfect sweetness. I look back now and I wonder if I was running toward something or away from something. Away from a small town. Away from everyone expecting me to get married and have babies and be content with a simple life. Away from being that girl. What girl? The one who didn't think she deserved big things. The words came out rough. True. My mom was a teacher. My dad worked at the plant. They were happy. They loved each other. But I'd watch them struggle over bills and I'd think, I need more than this. I need security. I need success. I need proof that I'm worth something. And did you find it? She laughed, but it hurt. I found 2 divorces. A career that's fine but doesn't light me up. A daughter who loves me but doesn't need me anymore. And a townhouse I eat takeout in alone, wondering when I stopped recognizing my own life. Levi reached across the table. His hand covered hers. Warm. Solid. Real. Your mom told me something. About 6 months before she died. She said, Levi, my daughter spent 30 years proving she didn't need anyone. Now she's so good at it, she's forgotten how to let anyone in. And she said, if you find her after I'm gone, remind her that being strong doesn't mean being alone. Tears spilled hot down Candace's face. She didn't wipe them away. Didn't care that other people in the cafe might see. Levi's thumb moved in slow circles on her wrist. I'm scared, she whispered. I'm 53 and I'm scared like I'm 17 again, and you're about to drive away and I'm going to watch your taillights disappear and wonder if I just made the biggest mistake of my life. So don't make that mistake again. His voice was gentle. Certain. I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to. I have no meetings. No obligations. Nothing but time and a really nice hotel suite that I'd trade in a heartbeat for more mornings like this. You can't just stay in Atlanta indefinitely. Why not? I work remotely when I work at all. My calendar is whatever I want it to be. And I've spent 5 years looking for you. I'm not leaving after 1 coffee. What do you want from me? She needed to know. Needed him to say it plain. Everything. He didn't hesitate. Dinner tomorrow. And the day after that. Time to remember what we were. Space to figure out what we could be. Permission to fall in love with you all over again. Except this time neither of us is leaving. That's insane. Probably. I'm not who I was at 17. Thank God. I'm not who I was either. We're better now. Stronger. More ourselves. I have a daughter. She's 31. She's going to think I've lost my mind. Does she want you to be happy? The question stopped her. Did Simone want her happy? Or did her daughter just want her to be stable, predictable? The mother who had her life together even when everything was falling apart? I don't know, Candace admitted. Then maybe it's time to find out. Levi squeezed her hand gently. Have dinner with me tonight. My hotel has a restaurant. Or we can go somewhere else. Anywhere you want. Just give me a few hours to remind you what it feels like when someone sees you. She should say no. She should protect herself. She should remember that fairy tales don't happen to women her age, that successful men don't really fall in love with their high school sweethearts 3 decades later, that this was probably going to end in heartbreak. But his hand was warm on hers. And the coffee tasted perfect. And she was so tired of being careful. 6 o'clock, she heard herself say. But not your hotel. There's a place in Virginia Highland. Ethiopian. You probably don't remember, but you took me there senior year. For my birthday. Your mom gave you money for it. His smile was devastating. I remember. Injera bread, Doro what? The owner calling you little sister in Amharic. You remember. Everything, Candace. I remember everything. Over the next 3 weeks, she learned what it felt like to be seen again. Levi showed up for dinner that night wearing dark jeans and a sweater that made his eyes impossible to look away from. He ordered an Amharic, made the owner laugh, told stories about building his company that had Candace forgetting to eat because she was too busy watching his hands move. His eyes light up, the way he'd pause mid-sentence to make sure she was still listening. They walked through Piedmont Park afterward, bundled in coats, breath fogging in cold air. He told her about his divorce. How his ex-wife was actually happy now, remarried to someone who loved her the way she deserved. How they'd stayed friends. How she told him, go find that architect from Georgia and stop wasting both our time. Candace told him about her failures. Both marriages. The first husband who wanted her to be smaller, quieter, more grateful. The second who wanted a companion, not a partner. How she'd spent years thinking the problem was her, that she was too much or not enough or fundamentally broken. You're not broken, Levi said, stopping under a streetlight. You're just particular. There's a difference. Particular is code for difficult. No. Particular means you know what you want, and you won't settle for less just because it's easier. He drove her home that night but didn't ask to come in. Just walked her to her door, pressed a kiss to her forehead that felt like a promise, said tomorrow. Like he needed permission to keep showing up. Tomorrow became the next day. And the next. They had breakfast at her favorite diner. She introduced him to Beverly, the waitress who'd been serving her coffee for 6 years. Beverly took one look at them and whispered in Candace's ear, "Girl, where have you been hiding this man?" They visited the High Museum. Levi stood in front of a contemporary piece, twisted metal and sharp angles, and said, "This is what I thought architecture was before I met you. Cold. Impressive but distant. You showed me buildings could have souls." They went to Sunday service at her mother's church. The one Candace had been avoiding since the funeral because walking in without her mother felt wrong. But Levi held her hand through the sermon, sang hymns in a voice that made her forget the words, and when Pastor Williams asked if there were any visitors, he stood and said, "I'm Levi Brennan. I knew Sister Margaret. She was the one who helped me find my way back here." The congregation erupted in amens. 3 church ladies cornered them after service, asking questions, offering opinions, telling Candace her mother would be pleased. Mother Jenkins grabbed her arm and whispered, "Baby, don't let this one go. Your mama prayed for this." But it was the small moments that undid her. The way Levi learned her coffee order and had it waiting every morning at 9. The way he listened when she talked about her projects, asked smart questions, suggested solutions that actually worked. The way he texted her throughout the day, not constantly, not suffocating, just small things. Saw this building downtown. Made me think of you. A photo of Christmas lights reflecting on wet pavement. Remember when we used to drive around looking at lights? She did remember. She remembered everything. On New Year's Eve, 3 days before he was supposed to fly to New York for meetings he kept postponing, he took her to the lake. Their lake. The one where they used to park his old pickup truck and dream about futures that felt impossible. "It's all condos now," Candace said, staring at the development that had replaced the empty shoreline. "Progress, I guess." "I hate it." Levi stood beside her, hands shoved in his coat pockets. "I loved that it was wild. Untouched. Just ours. Nothing stays the same. Some things do." He turned to face her. "I've been in love with you since I was 16 years old. That hasn't changed. Not through my marriage. Not through building a company. Not through 30 years of trying to convince myself I could move on. And standing here right now, it's still the most true thing I know." Her breath caught. "Levi, I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet. But I'm asking you to try this. Really try. Let me stay in Atlanta. Let me be part of your life. Let me meet your daughter when she gets back from Tokyo. Let me take you to dinner and fall asleep on your couch watching bad movies and be the person you call when something good happens. What if it doesn't work? The fear was a living thing in her chest. What if we're better as a memory? Then we'll know. But Candace, I've spent 30 years wondering. I don't want to spend 30 more. Fireworks started in the distance. Midnight. A new year. New possibilities or new mistakes, depending on how you looked at it. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Try. Let's try. His smile could have lit the city. He pulled her close, kissed her forehead, her cheeks, finally her mouth. Gentle, asking permission, giving her space to pull away. She didn't pull away. She leaned in. Let herself feel it. Let herself want it. When they broke apart, fireworks exploded overhead. Predictable. Cliché. Perfect. Happy New Year, Candace. Happy New Year, Levi. They drove back to her townhouse, fingers laced together on the center console. She invited him in this time. They sat on her couch, his arm around her shoulders, Mary J. Blige playing softly from her speaker, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. Seen. Home. Simone called on January 2nd at 7 a.m., which meant it was 9 p.m. in Tokyo, and her daughter had probably been stewing about this all day. Mom. We need to talk. Candace was still in bed, Levi's goodbye kiss from the night before still warm on her lips. He'd left at midnight, respecting boundaries she hadn't asked him to respect, texting her when he got back to his hotel. I miss you already. Is that pathetic? She'd typed back. Extremely. I miss you too. Good morning to you too, sweetheart, Candace said, sitting up against her headboard. Aunt Renee says you're dating someone. Simone's voice had that edge. The one that meant she'd already decided how she felt and was just waiting for confirmation. She says it's serious. She says he's white. Candace closed her eyes. Her sister. Of course. Renee had seen them at church, had watched Levi hold Candace's hand through the service, had cornered her afterward with questions disguised as concern. His name is Levi. We knew each other in high school. High school. A pause. Mom, you're 53. I'm aware of my age. And you're dating your high school boyfriend? Like some kind of midlife crisis romance novel. The words stung. Candace gripped her phone tighter. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because Aunt Renee says you've been seeing him for 3 weeks and you didn't even tell me. I had to hear it from her. She sent me photos from church. You looked. Another pause. Happy. Which is great. But also kind of scary because you don't date Mom. You work. And now suddenly you're in church holding hands with some white guy. His name is Levi. And I'm supposed to just be okay with this? What do you even know about him? What does he want? Because men don't just show up out of nowhere wanting to date 53-year-old divorced women unless. Unless what, Simone? Heat flared in Candace's chest. Unless they want something. Unless I'm not worth wanting. Silence on the line. Long enough that Candace could hear Tokyo traffic in the background. Her daughter was standing outside somewhere. Pacing probably. The way she did when she was upset and trying to stay calm. That's not what I meant. Simone's voice softened. I worry about you. You've been through a lot. Dad. Then Richard. And now Grandma. You're vulnerable right now and I don't want someone taking advantage of that. Levi's not taking advantage of me. How do you know? 3 weeks, Mom. You've known him for 3 weeks. I've known him for 35 years. Candace threw back her covers, stood, paced to her window. Outside, January sun made everything bright and cold. We dated in high school. Before I went to Howard. He was my first love and I broke his heart and he spent the last 5 years trying to find me. Your grandmother kept in touch with him. She wanted us to reconnect. Grandma knew about this. She encouraged it. Another long silence. Then, is he the billionaire? Candace's stomach dropped. What? Aunt Renee Googled him. Levi Brennan. Sold some software company for $1.2 billion. Lives in San Francisco. Or New York. Or London. Basically nowhere, which means he could be anywhere, which means he could leave any time. Simone's voice cracked. Mom, please tell me you see how this looks. Rich white guy, recently divorced, shows up right after grandma dies when you're grieving and lonely, sweeps you off your feet with fancy dinners and whatever billionaires do. He's not like that. You don't know what he's like. You knew him when you were 17. People change. People lie. And I'm not there to meet him or to see how he treats you or to tell you if this feels real or if you're just so desperate to not be alone that you're. Stop. The word came out sharp. Final. I am not desperate. I am not some pathetic middle-aged woman who can't tell the difference between genuine affection and manipulation. And I am not your child, Simone. I'm your mother. I raised you. I supported you. And I don't need your permission to have coffee with someone who makes me smile. Silence. Then Simone's voice, small and hurt. I'm coming home early. You don't need to do that. I'm coming home. I'll be there next week. And I'm meeting this Levi person. And if he's everything you say he is, then great. I'll be happy for you. But if he's not. A breath. I'm not losing you to some fantasy, Mom. You're all I have left. The call ended. Candace stood in her window, phone pressed to her chest, throat tight with tears she wouldn't let fall. Her phone buzzed. Levi, breakfast? I found this place that does peach cobbler pancakes. Feels like something you'd love. She stared at the text. Wanted to say yes. Wanted to pretend her daughter's words hadn't landed like punches. Wanted to believe that this was real and solid and not just a beautiful mistake she was making in the aftermath of grief. Instead she typed, "Can't today. Work stuff. Rain check." His response came fast. "Of course. Everything okay?" "Fine. Just busy." She turned off her phone before he could ask more questions. Renee showed up at her office that afternoon. Walked right past Candace's assistant, knocked once, came in without waiting for an answer. Her older sister, 55 and convinced that those 2 years gave her the right to opinions about everything. "Don't look at me like that," Renee said, dropping into the chair across from Candace's desk. "Simone called me crying. Said you two fought. Simone called you because you told her about Levi. Someone needed to tell her. You certainly weren't going to." Renee crossed her arms. 3 weeks. Candace. You've been seeing this man for 3 weeks and parading him around church like y'all are engaged. We held hands during service. That's not parading. Mother Jenkins said he stood up and talked about Mama. Said Mama helped him find his way back here. Renee leaned forward. That sound like a casual thing to you? That sound like some man who's just interested in coffee. What do you want me to say? I want you to slow down. Take a breath. Think about what you're doing. Renee's voice softened. Candy, I get it. You're lonely. Mama just died. The holidays were hard. And here comes this handsome man with money and history and he's saying all the right things. But what happens when the shiny wears off? When he gets bored? When he remembers he's got homes all over the world and you've got a life here that you can't just pick up and abandon? I'm not abandoning anything. Aren't you? Renee gestured to the blueprints on Candace's desk. When's the last time you worked on residential? When's the last time you designed something because it excited you and not because it paid well? You've been on autopilot for 2 years and now suddenly you're smiling again and I'm happy about that. I am, but I need to know you're thinking straight. I'm thinking perfectly straight. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you look like a woman who's about to blow up her life for a man she barely knows. And yeah, you knew him in high school, but baby, that was 30 years ago. You're different people now. And I don't want to watch you get hurt again. The concern in her sister's voice was real. Candace could hear it. Could see it in the way Renee's hands gripped the armrests, knuckles tight, eyes worried. I appreciate you caring, Candace said quietly. I do. But this is my life. My choice. And I'm not 17 anymore. I can handle this. Can you? Because last time I checked, you've been divorced twice. Not exactly a track record that inspires confidence. The words hit like a slap. Candace stood, walked to her window overlooking downtown Atlanta. Glass and steel and straight lines. Nothing soft. Nothing warm. Get out, she said without turning around. Candy. I mean it, Renee. Get out of my office. Footsteps. The door opening. A pause. I love you, Renee said. That's why I'm saying this. Not because I want to hurt you. And yet here we are. The door closed. Candace stood alone in her office, surrounded by blueprints for buildings she didn't care about, and pulled out her phone. 6 texts from Levi. Each one more worried than the last. Hey, you sure you're okay? Not trying to be pushy, but you went quiet and that's not like you. If I did something wrong, please tell me. Candace. I'm worried. Can you just let me know you're alive? I'm coming over tonight. 7 p.m. If you don't want to see me, text me and I'll leave. But I need to see your face. She looked at the clock. 4:30 p.m. 2.5 hours before he showed up at her door. 2.5 hours to figure out what she was going to say. At 6:45 p.m., Candace stood in her kitchen cooking. Jollof rice the way her mother taught her. Curry chicken. Fried plantains. Comfort food. The kind that required attention, precision, love. She'd changed into comfortable clothes. Jeans, a soft gray sweater. Put on Mary J. Blige because Mary understood complicated. Let the music fill her townhouse while she moved through motions that felt like muscle memory. Like prayer, like the only thing keeping her grounded. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 p.m. Levi stood there, worry written across his face. He'd dressed down too. Jeans, a sweater that had seen better days, sneakers instead of expensive leather shoes. He looked real. Human. Scared. You cooked, he said, smelling the air. Come in. He followed her to the kitchen. Watched as she stirred rice, flipped plantains, adjusted heat. Didn't push. Didn't ask questions. Just stood there, present, waiting. My daughter's coming home early, Candace finally said. She's worried about us. About you. About me making stupid decisions because I'm grieving and lonely and apparently so desperate for attention that I can't see when I'm being used. You're not being used. She doesn't know that. My sister doesn't know that. Hell, sometimes I don't know that. Candace turned to face him, spatula still in hand. You have homes everywhere. You could leave tomorrow. Next week. Next month. And I'd be standing here having rearranged my entire emotional life around someone who is just passing through. I'm not passing through. Prove it. The words came out harsh. Desperate. Because everyone in my life is telling me to slow down, be careful, protect myself. And I want to tell them they're wrong. I want to believe this is real. But Levi, it's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And I'm already in so deep that the thought of you leaving makes me feel sick. He crossed the kitchen in 3 strides. Took the spatula from her hand, set it down, turned off the burners. Then he cupped her face the way he'd done on Christmas Eve. Gentle and sure and completely focused. I sold my company 3 years ago, he said quietly. Invested most of it. Set myself up so I never have to work again if I don't want to. The houses. They're investments. Places to stay when I'm traveling. But they're not home. They've never been home. You know where I've spent the last 5 years? Searching. Your mom wouldn't give me your contact info, but she'd give me hints. She'd mention Atlanta. She'd talk about your firm. And I'd come here every few months, walk around downtown hoping I'd see you. I've eaten at that diner 20 times trying to run into you. I've been to your church 4 times before Christmas. I've been searching, Candace. And when your mom finally told me she was sick, when she gave me your address and made me promise to find you after she was gone, you know what I did? What? I cried. Because I was finally going to see you again. And because she wouldn't be there to watch it happen. His thumbs brushed her cheeks. You want proof this is real? I've already put a deposit down on a condo downtown. 30th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows facing south. I've been looking at furniture. I've been planning where I'd set up an office. I've been imagining a life here. With you. Not because I'm impulsive or bored or looking for a project. Because you're the only thing that's ever felt like home. Her breath caught. You bought a condo? I put a deposit down. The sale closes in 2 weeks. I can back out if you tell me to. If you look me in the eye and say this isn't what you want, I'll leave. I'll go back to San Francisco or New York or anywhere else. I'll leave you alone. But Candace, please don't push me away because other people are scared. Be scared yourself if you need to. Tell me you need more time. Tell me to slow down. But don't make decisions based on what your sister thinks or what your daughter assumes. Make them based on what you feel. She stared at him. This man. This impossible, frustrating, beautiful man who'd bought a condo in her city because she lived here. Who'd spent 5 years searching. Who looked at her like she was worth every moment of the search. I'm terrified, she whispered. Me too. What if we mess this up? Then we mess it up. But at least we tried. Simone's coming home next week. She wants to meet you. She's going to ask you 1,000 questions and judge every answer and probably hate you on principle. I can handle your daughter. Can you handle me? The real question. The one she needed him to answer honestly. His forehead dropped to hers. I've been trying to handle you since I was 16 years old. Some things never change. She laughed. Actually laughed. The tension in her chest cracked, let light in. The rice is burning, she said. I don't care about the rice. I do. I've been cooking for 2 hours. He pulled back, smiled. Then let's eat. And you can tell me everything your sister said so I know what I'm up against. They ate on her couch, plates balanced on their knees, Alicia Keys replacing Mary J. Blige because the mood had shifted from complicated to cautiously hopeful. Levi listened while she talked. About Simone's fears. About Renee's warnings. About her own doubts that crept in during quiet moments. Your daughter loves you, Levi said when she finished. That's why she's worried. And your sister's trying to protect you. I get it. If I had a sister and she started dating someone 3 weeks after meeting them, I'd have questions too. So what do? We give them time. We let Simone come home and meet me and see that I'm not some con artist. We let your sister watch us together and realize this isn't a fling. And we keep doing what we've been doing. Showing up. Being honest. Building something real. He made it sound simple. Maybe it was simple. Maybe she was the one making it complicated. Stay tonight, she heard herself say. He went very still. Candace. Not like that. Just stay. Sleep on the couch. Wake up here. Have breakfast with me. Let me get used to the idea that you're not going anywhere. His smile was soft. Relieved. I can do that. So he stayed. They watched a terrible action movie, his arm around her shoulders, her head on his chest listening to his heartbeat. When her eyes got heavy, he walked her to her bedroom, kissed her forehead, whispered, "Sleep well," like it was a promise. She fell asleep to the sound of him moving around her kitchen, cleaning dishes, making himself at home, being the kind of permanent she'd forgotten how to hope for. Simone arrived on a Tuesday afternoon looking exactly like Candace had at 31. Tall, beautiful, shoulders squared like she was ready for battle. She dropped her suitcase in the entryway, hugged her mother tight enough to bruise, then pulled back and said, "Where is he?" "Hello to you too, baby. How was your flight?" 14 hours of planning what I'm going to say to your boyfriend. Where is he? He's not here. He's at his hotel. He wanted to give us space. Candace picked up her daughter's suitcase, started toward the guest room. You want something to eat? I made. I want to meet him. Today. Now. Simone followed, heels clicking on hardwood. I've been losing my mind for a week, Mom. Aunt Renee keeps sending me articles about older women getting scammed. Kenji thinks I'm overreacting, but he didn't watch you cry for 6 months after Grandma died. I need to see this man with my own eyes. Candace set the suitcase down, turned to face her daughter. You're jet-lagged. You're worried. I get it. But you don't get to come into my house and demand. I'm not demanding. I'm begging. Simone's voice cracked. Her professional mask, corporate attorney, always composed, slipped. Underneath was just a scared daughter. Please, Mom. Let me meet him. Let me see what you see. Because right now all I can think about is how Dad left you for someone younger and Richard left you for someone easier, and I can't watch another man hurt you. The words landed heavy. True. Candace's throat went tight. Levi's not them, she said quietly. Then prove it. Introduce us. Let me ask my questions. If he's real, if this is real, he'll understand why I need to do this. Candace pulled out her phone. Texted Levi, my daughter wants to meet you. Tonight. Dinner at my place. 7 p.m. Fair warning, she's coming in hot. His response was immediate. I'll bring wine and my thickest skin. See you at 7. Levi showed up at 6:45 holding flowers for Candace and a bottle of wine that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. He'd dressed carefully. Slacks, button down, nothing too casual or too formal. He looked nervous. Breathe, Candace whispered when she opened the door. I'm breathing. This is me breathing. He handed her the flowers, kissed her cheek. Where is she? Guest room. Changing. Probably putting on armor. Great. That's great. Totally normal. He ran a hand through his hair. I've pitched to venture capitalists. I've closed billion-dollar deals. Why am I more scared of your 31-year-old daughter? Because you care what she thinks. Candace squeezed his hand. Come on. Let's get this over with. They set the table together. Candace pulled out her mother's good dishes, the ones saved for special occasions, for moments that mattered. Levi poured wine, his hands slightly unsteady. And when Simone walked out of the guest room wearing a sharp black dress and an expression that could cut glass, Candace watched him straighten his shoulders and extend his hand. Simone. I'm Levi. It's good to finally meet you. Simone looked at his hand like it might be poisonous. Then she shook it once, brief and formal. Mr. Brennan. Levi, please. Mr. Brennan. She turned to Candace. Should we sit? Dinner was painful. Candace had made her mother's recipe for smothered chicken, collard greens, cornbread still warm from the oven. Food meant to bring people together, to ease tension, to create space for conversation. It didn't work. Simone ate 3 bites, then set down her fork. So, you knew my mother in high school. I did. Levi's voice was steady, calm. We dated for 2 years. I was her first boyfriend. She was my first love. And then she left for college and you never spoke again. That's right. For 30 years. Yes. But you kept in touch with my grandmother. Not a question. An accusation. For the last 5 years, yes. She reached out to me after she saw an interview I did about my company. Recognized my name. We started talking. She told me about Candace. How she was doing, whether she was happy. I asked her for Candace's number. She refused. Said Candace needed to come to me when she was ready. But Grandma died. So she couldn't come to you. You had to come to her. Simone leaned forward. Convenient timing. Simone, Candace started. No, it's okay. Levi met Simone's eyes. You're right to be suspicious. Your mom was grieving. Vulnerable. And I showed up right when she was at her lowest. From the outside it looks calculated. So why should I believe it's not? Because I loved your mother when we were kids. I married someone else trying to get over her. I built a company thinking success would fill the space she left. It didn't. And when your grandmother told me she was sick, told me Candace was alone and struggling, she made me promise I wouldn't let Candace disappear into that loneliness. So I'm here. Not because it's convenient. Because I've been searching for her for 5 years and I finally got a chance to find her. Simone's jaw tightened. You're rich. I am. Very rich. Yes. And my mother is a 53-year-old architect with a moderate income and a mortgage and no trust fund. You don't think that power dynamic is a problem? I think it could be. If I treated her like she was less than me. If I tried to control her or change her or buy her. Levi's voice stayed level. I'm not interested in doing any of those things. I'm interested in building a life with someone I love. Someone who sees me as the kid who used to fix computers for grocery money, not the guy who sold a company. Your mom doesn't care about my money. She never has. How do you know? Because she won't let me pay for anything. A small smile. She insists we split checks. She refused when I offered to buy her a new car. She changed the subject when I mentioned taking her to Paris. She doesn't want my money. She wants my time. Simone turned to Candace. Is that true? He tried to buy me a car, Candace admitted. A Tesla. I told him I liked my Honda. It's a 2015 Honda with a cracked windshield. It's paid off and it runs fine. Levi looked at Simone. See? Simone didn't smile. What happens when you get bored? When the novelty wears off? When you remember you have homes in San Francisco and New York and London and my mother has a life here that she's built over 30 years. I bought a condo downtown. The sale closes next week. Silence. Simone's eyes went wide. You bought a condo, she said slowly. 30th floor. 2 bedrooms in case you visit. I'm moving to Atlanta. Permanently. After 3 weeks. After 30 years of knowing this is where I want to be. Levi's voice softened. I understand why you're worried. I understand why this looks fast and reckless. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm all in. And if you need time to trust that, I'll give you that time. But I'm not walking away from your mother. Not again. Simone sat back, studied him. Candace watched her daughter's face, trying to read the thoughts moving behind her eyes. Attorney brain, always analyzing, always looking for the catch. Mom. Simone turned. Can I talk to you? Alone. They moved to the kitchen. Candace leaned against the counter, crossed her arms. Waited. He seems sincere, Simone admitted quietly. He is. But Mom, a condo? After 3 weeks. That's not normal. Nothing about this is normal. That's what scares me. Simone's eyes filled. You're my mom. You're supposed to be the careful one. The one who thinks things through. And here you are jumping into something with a man you barely know. I know him. You knew him 30 years ago. People change. What if he's not who you think he is? What if 6 months from now he decides this was a mistake and leaves? What if you're so invested that losing him breaks you? She grabbed Candace's hands. I can't watch you go through that again. I can't. Candace squeezed her daughter's hands. Felt the fear there. The love. The desperate need to protect. Baby, I appreciate what you're trying to do. I do. But I can't live my life being scared of getting hurt. I've been playing it safe for 2 years. Being careful. Being alone. And I've been miserable. But you've been safe. Have I? Candace pulled her hands back. Or have I just been slowly disappearing? Your grandmother saw it. Levi sees it. Maybe it's time you see it too. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that I stopped designing homes because commercial was safer. I stopped dating because being alone was easier. I stopped decorating for Christmas and making Sunday dinners and doing anything that felt like joy because joy meant risk and risk meant pain. And you know what? I was still in pain. I was just also alone. Tears spilled down Simone's face. I don't want to lose you. You're not losing me. You're watching me come back to life. And yeah, that's scary. But baby, I need you to trust me. I need you to believe that I'm smart enough and strong enough to handle this. Even if it doesn't work out. Even if I get hurt. I need you to let me take this risk. Simone wiped her eyes. I don't like him. You don't know him. I don't like how fast this is happening. I know. I don't like that he's white and rich and could have anyone and picked you right when you were vulnerable. Simone. But I can see that you love him. Her daughter's voice broke. I can see it all over your face. And I haven't seen you look like that since before Dad left. So even though every instinct is telling me to protect you, to make you slow down, to find some way to stop this before it goes too far, I can't. Because you're already too far. And all I can do is stay close enough to catch you if you fall. Candace pulled her daughter into her arms. Held her tight. Felt Simone shake with tears she'd been holding back for a week, maybe longer, maybe since the divorce, maybe since her grandmother died and she realized her mother was truly alone. I'm okay, Candace whispered. I promise. I'm okay. They stood like that for a long moment. Mother and daughter. Holding each other up the way they always had. When they returned to the dining room, Levi stood by the window, looking out at the city lights. He turned when they entered, searched Candace's face, found whatever answer he was looking for and relaxed slightly. I should go, he said quietly. Give you 2 space. Thank you for dinner. Wait. Simone's voice stopped him. I have one more question. Okay. Do you love her? Yes. Are you going to hurt her? Not intentionally. But probably accidentally. Because that's what people do when they're building something real. We hurt each other and we apologize and we figure it out. He looked at Candace. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to say the wrong thing or push when I should pull back or not push when I should. But I'm not leaving. No matter how messy it gets. Simone nodded once. Good. Because if you hurt her on purpose, I will destroy you. I'm a corporate attorney. I'm very good at destroying people. The corner of Levi's mouth twitched. I believe you. And I'm watching. So don't think you can slip up and I won't notice. Noted. Simone looked at Candace. I'm going to bed. Jet lag. We'll talk more tomorrow. She hugged her mother, nodded at Levi, disappeared into the guest room. Candace walked Levi to the door. He pulled on his coat, then cupped her face gently. That went better than I expected, he said. She threatened to destroy you. Yeah, but she didn't say I had to leave. I'm calling that a win. He kissed her forehead. You okay? Tired? Stressed? Wondering if we're moving too fast? His hands stilled. Are we? She looked up at him. At this man who'd bought a condo in her city. Who'd sat through an interrogation from her daughter without flinching. Who looked at her like she was worth fighting for. I don't know, she admitted. Everyone keeps telling me we are. And maybe they're right. Maybe we should slow down. Take a step back. Give people time to adjust. Is that what you want? I want. She didn't know how to finish. Wanted him. Wanted time. Wanted certainty in an uncertain world. Wanted proof that this wasn't going to end the way everything else had ended. I want to not be scared. Candace. I need some space. The words came out before she could stop them. Just for a few days. Let me spend time with Simone. Let me think about things. Let me figure out if I'm doing this because it's right or because I'm terrified of being alone. His face went carefully blank. Okay. Okay. You need space. I'll give you space. He dropped his hands, stepped back. The cold rushed in. Text me when you're ready to talk. Levi, I'm not. Breaking up with me? I know. You're just scared. And I get it. But Candace, I can't keep proving I'm not leaving. At some point you have to decide to believe me. Or you have to let me go. He pulled open the door. I'll wait. But I can't chase you forever. He left. The door closed. Candace stood in her entryway, heart hammering, already regretting the words that had pushed him away. Her phone buzzed. Levi, I love you. That hasn't changed. Take your time. I'll be here. She stared at the text. At those 3 words. I love you. He'd never said them out loud. Had only typed them now after she'd asked for space, after she'd let her fear win. She typed, I'm sorry. His response came 5 minutes later. Don't be sorry. Be sure. 3 days passed. Candace spent them with Simone, showing her around Atlanta, cooking her mother's recipes, talking about Tokyo and Kenji and whether they were thinking about marriage. Surface conversations. Safe conversations. Avoiding the elephant in the room. On the 4th day, Renee came for coffee. Sat at Candace's kitchen table, triumphant. I heard you asked for space, her sister said. Simone told you. She's worried. Said you've been moping around like a teenager. Renee sipped her coffee. I'm glad you came to your senses. That man was moving too fast. Buying a condo after 3 weeks? That's not romantic. That's obsessive. It's not obsessive. Then what is it? Committed. The word came out sharp. True. He's committed. And I'm the one who's scared. Scared is smart. Scared keeps you safe. Scared keeps me alone. Candace stood, paced to her window. Outside, January Atlanta. Gray and cold. Nothing blooming. Everything dormant. Waiting for spring. You want to know why my marriages failed? Because you picked wrong. Because I played it safe. I married men who looked good on paper. Men who wanted a wife who fit a role. Men who didn't push me or challenge me or make me feel anything too deeply. She turned to face her sister. Levi makes me feel everything. And yeah, that's terrifying. But it's also the most alive I've felt in years. So call him. Tell him that. I asked for space. I can't just take it back. Why not? Because. She didn't have a good answer. Because she was scared. Because calling him felt like admitting defeat. Because she'd hurt him and didn't know if he'd forgive her. Renee stood, walked over, took Candace's hands. Candy. I love you. I've been trying to protect you. But maybe Simone's right. Maybe I need to let you take this risk. Even if it scares me. Even if I think you're moving too fast. You do. No. I think you're insane. But I also think you look happier than you have in years. And I'd rather watch you take a risk and possibly fail than watch you play it safe and slowly disappear. She squeezed Candace's hands. Call him. Tell him you're sorry. Tell him you're scared but you want to try anyway. Don't let fear win. Candace pulled out her phone. Stared at Levi's last text. Don't be sorry. Be sure. Was she sure? Could she be sure about anything? Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Ms. Warren. This is Presbyterian Hospital. You're listed as the emergency contact for Levi Brennan. He's been admitted. There's been an accident. The world tilted. Her phone nearly slipped from her hand. What kind of accident? Car accident. He's stable but asking for you. Can you come? I'm on my way. She grabbed her keys, her coat, ran for the door. Simone appeared in the hallway, eyes wide. Mom. What's wrong? Levi's in the hospital. Car accident. I have to, her voice broke. I have to go. I'm coming with you. They drove in silence. Candace's hands shook on the wheel. Her chest felt too tight. She couldn't breathe right. He was stable, the nurse said. Stable was good. Stable meant alive. She should have called him. Should have texted. Should have told him 3 days ago that she was being stupid and scared and she didn't actually want space. She wanted him. Now he was hurt. In a hospital. Asking for her. Please let him be okay, she prayed. Please. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Candace ran through automatic doors, Simone close behind, both of them breathless and terrified. The receptionist barely looked up. Levi Brennan, Candace gasped. He was in a car accident. I'm 4th floor. Room 427. The woman pointed to the elevators. He's awake. Visitors allowed. Awake. That was good. Awake meant conscious, meant talking, meant not as bad as her imagination had been screaming for the last 20 minutes. They took the elevator. Candace's reflection in the metal doors showed a woman coming apart. Hair wild, no coat even though it was January, eyes red from tears she'd cried the entire drive over. "He's okay," Simone said quietly, squeezing her mother's hand. "He's awake." "That's good." "I pushed him away," Candace whispered. 3 days ago I pushed him away and now you're here. That's what matters." The elevator opened. Room 427 was at the end of a long hallway. Candace's legs felt weak. Her heart hammered too hard. She pushed open the door. Levi sat propped up in bed, left arm in a sling, bruises blooming purple across his jaw and temple. A cut above his eyebrow had been stitched closed. He looked exhausted, battered, alive. His eyes found hers. Something in his face crumpled. "Candace." She crossed the room in 3 steps, careful not to jostle him, her hands hovering near his face like she was afraid he'd break. "What happened? Are you okay?" They said stable, but what does that mean? "What?" "I'm fine." Separated shoulder, couple bruised ribs, some cuts. Nothing serious. His good hand came up, caught hers, pressed it against his cheek. "I'm fine. I promise." "What happened?" "Guy ran a red light. T-boned me on the passenger side. If I'd been going any faster." "He didn't finish." "Didn't need to." Candace's legs gave out. She sank into the chair beside his bed, still holding his hand, unable to let go. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have asked for space. I shouldn't have." "Stop." His thumb moved across her knuckles. "This wasn't your fault. I pushed you away. You were scared. That's not a crime. I wasted 3 days. 3 days I could have been with you. And instead I was hiding because I'm a coward who can't." "Candace. Look at me." She met his eyes. Blue and clear and steady even through the pain medication haze. "You're not a coward," he said quietly. "You're careful. You're protecting yourself. And I pushed too hard too fast. I bought a condo without asking how you felt about it. I said I love you over text instead of to your face. I've been so focused on proving I'm not leaving that I didn't stop to ask if you were ready for me to stay." "I am ready. I was ready. I just got scared when everyone started questioning things." "I know. And they had valid questions. Your daughter, your sister. They love you. They don't want to watch you get hurt. I don't blame them for being cautious. But I hurt you instead. I asked for space and you left, and then this happened and—" Her voice broke. "I could have lost you. I could have lost you, and the last thing I said to you was that I needed space. But you didn't lose me. I'm right here." He tugged her hand gently. "Come here." She stood, careful, settled on the edge of his bed. He shifted, made room, pulled her closer with his good arm until her forehead rested against his. "I love you," he said. Not a text this time. Out loud. Real. "I love you and I'm not going anywhere. And if you need more time to figure out if you feel the same way, I'll give you that time. But Candace, I need you to know something." "What?" "When that car hit me, when everything went sideways and I heard metal crunching and glass breaking, you know what I thought?" She shook her head, not trusting her voice. "I thought about how stupid I was. How I'd spent 30 years looking for you and then 3 days giving you space when all I wanted was to be with you. I thought about all the time we'd already lost and all the time I might not get back. And I promised myself that if I survived this, I wasn't going to waste another second being careful or giving you space or waiting for the perfect moment. I was going to tell you exactly how I feel and let you decide what to do about it. Levi. I love you. I'm in love with you. I want to wake up next to you and fall asleep beside you and spend my days building a life with you. I want to meet your friends and embarrass you in front of your coworkers and learn how to make your mother's jollof rice. I want to fight with you about stupid things and make up and fight again because that's what real people do. I don't want perfect. I don't want careful. I want you. messy and scared and complicated and real. Tears streamed down her face. I love you too. Yeah. Yeah. God, yes. I've been in love with you since you showed up on my doorstep on Christmas Eve with that ridiculous poinsettia. Maybe before that. Maybe I never stopped loving you and just convinced myself I had because it hurt less than admitting I'd let you go. He smiled. Winced because smiling pulled at his bruised jaw. That poinsettia wasn't ridiculous. It was huge. Where did you even find one that big? I wanted to make an impression. You made an impression by existing. She cupped his face carefully, avoiding the bruises. I'm sorry I asked for space. I'm sorry I let fear win. I'm sorry for every day I wasted being careful when I could have been with you. Then stop wasting days. He kissed her gently, carefully, like she was the one who might break. Stay. Not just tonight. Stay. Move into the condo with me. Or I'll move into your townhouse. Or we'll find a third place that's ours. I don't care where we live as long as we're together. That's insane. Probably. People will think we're crazy. Let them. Simone's going to have opinions. I have opinions too, Simone's voice came from the doorway. Both of them turned. Candace had forgotten her daughter was there, waiting in the hallway, giving them privacy. Simone walked in, arms crossed, face unreadable. She looked at Levi in his hospital bed, at her mother's tear-stained face, at their hands locked together. I have opinions, she said again. And my main opinion is that you two are completely insane. Moving in together after a month? That's not normal. That's not how adults make sensible decisions. Simone, Candace started. But Simone held up a hand. I also just watched my mother fall apart in a car because she thought she'd lost you. I watched her cry harder than she cried at Grandma's funeral. And I realized something. What? Levi asked quietly. Normal doesn't matter. Sensible doesn't matter. What matters is that she loves you. Really loves you. The kind of love that makes you stupid and reckless and willing to completely rearrange your life. She looked at Candace. I've never seen you like this, Mom. Not with Dad. Not with Richard. You love them, I think, but not like this. Not in a way that made you willing to risk everything. I'm sorry if that scares you, Candace said. It terrifies me. But it also makes me happy. Because you deserve this. You deserve someone who looks at you the way he does. Someone who bought a condo in your city after 3 weeks because he couldn't imagine being anywhere else. She turned to Levi. And you deserve someone who drove here doing 80 in a 45 zone because she thought you were dying. I wasn't driving that fast, Candace protested. You were absolutely driving that fast. Simone almost smiled. So here's the deal. You two are going to do whatever you're going to do. Move in together. Get married tomorrow for all I care. And I'm not going to try to stop you. But I am going to be there. Watching. Making sure this is real. Making sure you're both okay. Because that's what family does. Levi extended his good hand. Deal. Simone shook it. But if you hurt her, you'll destroy me. I remember. Good. She looked at her mother. I'm going to get coffee. Give you two some privacy. Text me when you're ready to leave. She walked out. The door closed. Candace stared after her, stunned. Did my daughter just give us permission to move in together? I think she did. Levi pulled her closer. So, your place or mine? You're in a hospital bed. That doesn't answer my question. She laughed. Actually laughed. In a hospital room with her battered billionaire boyfriend asking her to move in with him like it was the most natural thing in the world. Your place, she heard herself say. The condo. 30th floor. I want to see the view. It's a good view. You can see the whole city. Can you see Piedmont Park? Yeah. And your old neighborhood. And the lake where we used to park. You bought a condo where you can see all of our old places. I bought a condo where I can see our future. He kissed her forehead. Say yes. I already said yes. Say it again. Yes. I'll move in with you. I'll wake up next to you and fall asleep beside you and learn how to share closet space. Yes to all of it. His smile was worth every moment of fear, every second of doubt, every day she'd wasted being careful. They kept him overnight for observation. Candace stayed in the uncomfortable chair beside his bed, holding his hand while he slept. Simone brought her coffee at 6 a.m., stayed for an hour, then headed back to Candace's townhouse to shower and pack. At 9 a.m., the doctor discharged him with instructions to rest, physical therapy for his shoulder, follow-up in 2 weeks. Levi signed the papers one-handed, winced getting into Candace's Honda, made jokes about her cracked windshield the whole drive to his hotel. You're getting that fixed, he said. It's fine. It's a safety hazard. It's been a safety hazard for 2 years. Exactly. 2 years too long. He squeezed her hand. Let me fix it. Let me take care of you sometimes. She glanced at him. At his bruised face, his arm in a sling, his absolute refusal to be anything other than stubborn and sweet, even drugged up on pain medication. Fine. You can fix my windshield. Thank you. That was painful for you, wasn't it? Excruciating. He laughed, then winced. Don't make me laugh. Bruised ribs. Then stop being funny. Impossible. It's one of my best qualities. She pulled up to the Ritz. The valet opened Levi's door, helped him out carefully. Levi waved off the wheelchair they offered, insisted he could walk, made it approximately 10 steps before Candace grabbed his good arm and made him sit. You're the most stubborn man I've ever met, she said. You love it. I really don't. Liar. She wheeled him through the lobby, into the elevator, up to the suite he'd been living in for a month. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed Atlanta spread out below, gray January giving way to sun breaking through clouds. Beautiful. Temporary. Not home. Pack, she said. You're staying with me until the condo closes. Candace. I'm not arguing. You're hurt. You can't be alone. And I'm not leaving you in a hotel room where you'll try to do everything yourself and probably re-injure that shoulder. Bossy. You love it. His smile was soft. True. I really do. Levi moved into her townhouse that afternoon. Not all of his things. Just clothes, toiletries, his laptop. Enough to exist. To be present. To share space. That first night, Candace made dinner while he sat at her kitchen counter giving unhelpful commentary. She burned the rice because he distracted her with stories about his company, about the early days when he was writing code in his apartment living off ramen, convinced he'd fail. You didn't fail, she said, scraping burned rice into the trash. Not that time. But I failed plenty before that. First startup went bankrupt. Second one never got funding. Third time was the charm. What made the third different? I stopped trying to build what I thought people wanted and started building what I wanted. Turns out authenticity sells. She looked at him. At this man in her kitchen, bruised and battered and real. Is that what this is? Authenticity. What do you mean? Us. Is this real? Or are we just two people who want it to be real so badly that we're ignoring all the reasons it shouldn't work? He stood carefully, crossed to her, cupped her face with his good hand. It's real. The realest thing I've ever been part of. And yeah, maybe we're moving fast. Maybe people think we're crazy. Maybe we'll mess this up spectacularly. But Candace, I'd rather mess this up with you than play it safe with anyone else. She kissed him. Careful of his bruises, his injuries, all the tender places. He kissed her back like she was precious, like he'd been waiting 30 years for exactly this moment. When they broke apart, she whispered, I'm still scared. Me too. But I'm doing this anyway. Me too. They ordered pizza because the rice was ruined. Ate on the couch. Fell asleep there too, her head on his good shoulder, his arm around her. Both of them exhausted and healing and learning how to be together. The next morning, Candace woke to the smell of coffee. She found Levi in her kitchen, one-armed, attempting to make breakfast. Eggs scrambled because he couldn't flip them. Toast burned because he couldn't manage the timing with one hand. Coffee perfect because that was just hot water and grounds. "Let me help," she said. "I've got it." "You absolutely don't have it. I'm trying to do something nice for you." "The nicest thing you could do is let me help before you set off the smoke alarm." He laughed, stepped aside, let her take over. They worked together. Her cooking, him narrating, both of them figuring out this domestic rhythm that felt new and ancient at the same time. Simone came over at noon. Took one look at them, Levi's toothbrush in the bathroom, his coat on the rack, his shoes by the door, and said, "So he moved in." "Temporarily," Candace said. "Until the condo closes." "Sure. Temporarily." Simone's expression was unreadable. Then she smiled. Small but real. "It looks good on you, Mom. Being happy." "Yeah. Yeah." She hugged Candace. Whispered in her ear, "I'm sorry I made this harder. I was scared of losing you. But I see it now. He's good for you." "He is. Don't mess it up." "I'll try not to." Simone pulled back, turned to Levi. "I'm flying back to Tokyo tomorrow. But I'll be back for a visit in March. And I expect to see you two still together. Still happy. Still making my mom smile like this." "Yes, ma'am," Levi said. "Good." She grabbed her coat. "Oh, and Mom, call Aunt Renee. She's been texting me non-stop wanting updates. I think she's ready to admit she was wrong." After Simone left, Candace pulled out her phone. Stared at her sister's name. "Want me to leave the room?" Levi asked. "No. Stay." She called. Renee answered on the first ring. "Is he still alive?" "Hello to you too." "Yes, he's alive. Bruised but fine." "Simone said you're moving in together." "Eventually. When the condo closes." A long pause. Then, "Are you happy?" The question landed soft. Genuine. "Yeah," Candace admitted. "I'm happy. Then I'm happy for you. And I'm sorry for making you doubt yourself. I was trying to protect you, but I should have been supporting you." "You were protecting me. That's what big sisters do." "Yeah, well, big sisters can also be wrong. So, I'm wrong. He seems like a good man. And you seem like a woman in love. So go be in love. Just invite me to the wedding." "We're not getting married. Yet." "You're not getting married yet." Renee laughed. "I'll talk to you later, Candy. Be happy." The call ended. Candace set down her phone, looked at Levi. "My sister thinks we're getting married." "Are we?" "I don't know. Are we?" He smiled. "Ask me again when my shoulder heals and I can get down on one knee properly." Her heart did something complicated. Scary. Wonderful. "That's not a no," she said. "That's definitely not a no." 2 weeks later, the condo closed. Candace stood in the empty space on the 30th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows framing Atlanta like a painting. She could see Piedmont Park from here, the downtown skyline, the lake in the distance where they used to dream about futures that felt impossible. "What do you think?" Levi came up behind her, shoulder out of the sling finally, movement still careful but healing. "It's beautiful. It's ours." He wrapped his arms around her waist, rested his chin on her shoulder. "If you want it to be." She leaned back into him. Solid. Real. "Here. I handed in my resignation yesterday." His arms tightened. "What?" "At the firm. Gave them 2 months' notice." She turned in his arms to face him. "I've been designing parking garages and office buildings for 15 years. Playing it safe. Doing what pays well instead of what makes me happy. And I'm done. Candace. I'm going to start my own practice. Residential architecture. Homes. The thing I actually wanted to do before I convinced myself it wasn't practical." She grabbed his hands. "And I'm terrified. I might fail. I might lose clients. I might end up broke and having to crawl back asking for my job. But I'm doing it anyway. His smile broke like sunrise. Yeah. Yeah. You made me realize something. When you bought this condo, when you moved your entire life to be near me, you weren't being reckless. You were being brave. You were choosing what mattered over what was safe. And I want to be that brave too. You are brave. You've always been brave. No. I've been careful. There's a difference. She pulled him toward the windows. I want to design a house. For us. Something that feels like home. With a kitchen big enough for Sunday dinners and a guest room for when Simone visits and an office where I can work and you can pretend to work while actually distracting me. I'm very good at distracting you. You're terrible at it. You're not subtle at all. Don't need to be subtle when you're already distracted by my natural charm. She laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoed in the empty space, bounced off bare walls, filled the condo with something that felt like possibility. I love you, she said. Not scared this time. Not uncertain. Just true. I love you too. He kissed her forehead. So, when do we start looking at land? You're serious? We just bought this place. This place is temporary. A home while we build our forever home. Unless you'd rather stay here. She looked around. Beautiful space. Expensive. Impressive. Not theirs. Not really. Just another place to exist. Let's build something, she said. The first client for Candace's new practice came from an unexpected place. Beverly, the waitress from the diner, called her in March. My daughter's getting married. Wants to build a house before the wedding. Something small but special. I told her you're the architect to call. Candace took the job. Designed a cottage with exposed beams and a porch that wrapped around 3 sides and windows positioned to catch morning light. She poured everything she'd learned into that design. Not just technical skill but heart, soul, the understanding that homes were more than structures. They were where people built lives. When the daughter saw the plans, she cried. It's perfect. Exactly what I imagined but couldn't explain. Word spread. Beverly told her church friends. Her church friends told their families. By June, Candace had 5 projects. By September, she had 12. Small houses mostly. Starter homes for young couples. Retirement cottages for empty nesters downsizing. Nothing flashy. Nothing that would make architecture magazines. But every single one mattered. Levi watched her transform. Watched her stay up late sketching, wake up early excited about meetings, talk through design problems while they cooked dinner. He'd listen, ask questions, offer perspectives from someone who understood building things from nothing. You're glowing, he said one night in August. They were in the condo, boxes packed because they'd broken ground on their house in May. Foundation poured. Framing starting next week. I'm exhausted. Exhausted and glowing. It's a good look on you. She threw a pillow at him. He caught it, grinned, pulled her onto the couch beside him. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. For taking the risk. For choosing what you love over what's safe. I learned from the best. I'm serious. You could have stayed at the firm. Kept collecting that steady paycheck. But you didn't. You bet on yourself. That takes courage. She settled against his chest, listened to his heartbeat. Steady. Sure. Home. I'm happy, she admitted. Really happy. And that's still scary sometimes. Like I'm waiting for something to go wrong. Nothing's going wrong. We're just living. Is it always this good? No. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's worse. But it's always us. He kissed the top of her head. That's the point. In October, Candace's house for Beverly's daughter won a local design award. Small award. Nothing prestigious. But the ceremony was at a downtown hotel and required formal wear, and Beverly insisted Candace bring Levi. Candace wore purple deep eggplant that made her brown skin glow. Let her locks fall loose. Minimal jewelry. She felt beautiful. More importantly, she felt like herself. Levi wore a suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. He cleaned up well. made her forget how to breathe when he appeared in the doorway of their bedroom. Their bedroom now shared space, shared life, and said, "You're stunning. You're not so bad yourself. I know. It's a burden being this attractive. Your humility is truly inspiring." They arrived at the hotel to find half the architecture community there. Candace saw her former colleagues, her old boss, people she'd worked with for 15 years. They stared, whispered. She could imagine the conversations. Did you hear she quit? Started her own practice. Residential work. Such a waste of talent. She didn't care. Richard was there. Her second ex-husband. With a woman who looked 25 and bored. He saw Candace. Did a double-take, approached. "Candace. You look different." "Happy." "I look happy." His eyes flicked to Levi. To the way Levi's hand rested on her lower back, possessive and gentle. To the way she leaned into him, comfortable, claimed. "This is Levi Brennan," Candace said. "Not my boyfriend. Not my partner. Just his name." He could Google the rest. Richard Morrison. Her ex extended his hand. Levi shook it, his smile polite, empty. "Nice to meet you." Richard turned back to Candace. "I heard you left Morgan and Associates. That's a big move." It was time. Residential work, though. After all those years in commercial. Seems like a step backward. Seems like a step forward to me. Levi's voice was mild. Dangerous. Candace is building homes for people who'll actually live in them. Raise families. Grow old. Create memories. That's not a step backward. That's the whole point. Richard's jaw tightened. "I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." Candace squeezed Levi's hand. "But that's okay. You never understood why I wanted to design homes. You thought it was small, limiting, beneath my skill set. That's why we didn't work. You wanted me to be impressive. Levi wants me to be happy." She walked away. Levi followed. Behind them, Richard stood alone, looking like he'd been slapped. "That was satisfying," Levi murmured. "Very. Thank you for the backup." "Always." They found Beverly at a table near the front. She jumped up when she saw them, hugged Candace tight enough to bruise. "You're going to win," Beverly whispered. "I can feel it. There are 5 nominees. The chances." "You're going to win." Beverly was right. When they announced Candace's name, when they called her to the stage, when she stood there holding a small glass trophy, she looked out at the crowd. At Beverly crying. At former colleagues politely clapping. At Richard leaving early. At Levi standing, applauding like she'd just won an Oscar. She gave her speech. Thanked Beverly's daughter for trusting her with something so personal. Thanked Beverly for spreading the word. Thanked Levi for encouraging her to take the risk. "A year ago, I was designing parking garages," she said. "Making good money. Playing it safe. And I was miserable. It took someone very stubborn showing up on my doorstep to remind me that safe isn't the same as satisfied. That playing small doesn't protect you from pain. It just makes you smaller. So this award. It's not about the design. It's about choosing to build something that matters. Thank you." The applause was genuine this time. Warm. Real. Backstage, Levi pulled her into his arms. "I'm so proud of you. It's a tiny award. It's your award. And you earned it. And I get to watch you collect more of them for the rest of our lives." The rest of our lives. That's a long time. Not long enough. He kissed her. Right there backstage with people walking past, caterers clearing plates, the ceremony still going on in the ballroom. He kissed her like she'd just won everything, like she was the most impressive thing in the room, like he'd been waiting all night for exactly this moment. When they broke apart, she whispered, "Take me home." Which home? The condo or the construction site? The condo. "Our house isn't ready yet. It will be. By Christmas. I promise." "You can't promise that. Construction always runs late. Watch me." He was right. The house was finished December 20th. Not completely, still needed furniture, final touches, landscaping, but livable. Walls painted. Floors done. Kitchen functional. Enough to move in for Christmas. They spent Christmas Eve carrying boxes, arguing about where furniture should go, ordering pizza because neither of them had energy to cook. Simone flew in from Tokyo with Kenji, her boyfriend turned fiancé. Renee came with her husband Marcus. Mother Jenkins brought half the church ladies, all of them carrying dishes, claiming they were just stopping by but actually wanting to see the house. "This is beautiful," Mother Jenkins said, running her hand along the kitchen island Candace had designed. "Your mama would be so proud." "You think so?" "Baby, I know so. She always said you were meant to build homes. Said you had the gift for making spaces feel like love." Mother Jenkins squeezed her hand. "And look at you now. Building your own love. Living your own joy." Candace looked around. At Levi arguing with Simone about the best way to arrange living room furniture. At Renee laughing with Kenji about something. At church ladies filling her kitchen with food and warmth and the kind of community that felt like belonging. This house. Her house. Their house. Not perfect. Not finished. But home. That night, after everyone left, after the boxes were unpacked enough to find sheets and towels, after they'd showered and collapsed onto their bed in their bedroom in their house, Levi pulled her close. "Merry Christmas, Candace." "Merry Christmas, Levi. 1 year ago, I showed up at your door with a poinsettia. I remember. It was huge. And you were eating Chinese food alone. I remember that too. Look at us now." His hand traced patterns on her shoulder. Gentle. Familiar. Home. We built a house. We built a life. Same thing. She turned to face him in the darkness. "Are you happy?" Deliriously. Stupidly. Completely. He kissed her forehead. "Are you?" "I'm terrified and exhausted and so happy I don't know what to do with it." "That sounds about right. I love you." "I love you too." A pause. "Marry me." Her breath caught. "What?" "Marry me. Not because we have to. Not because anyone expects us to. But because I want to stand in front of everyone we love and promise to keep choosing you every single day for the rest of my life." "Levi." "You don't have to answer now. Think about it. Take your time." "But Candace, I want forever with you. I want to grow old in this house. I want to watch you build 100 more homes. I want Sunday dinners and arguments about furniture placement and your daughter interrogating me at family events. I want all of it." She kissed him. Long and deep and certain. "Yes. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes to forever. Yes to all of it." His smile was everything. Joy and relief and love wrapped into one devastating expression. "I don't have a ring yet," he admitted. "This wasn't planned. I was going to wait, do it properly. This is proper. This is us. Improper and impulsive and exactly right." They lay there in their unfinished house, engaged, exhausted, completely happy. Outside, December Atlanta. Cold and dark. Inside, warmth and light and a future that stretched out infinite and possible. 1 year later. The wedding was small. Candace wore ivory, a dress that flowed and moved and made her feel beautiful at 54. Levi wore a suit and cried when she walked down the aisle between chairs set up in their backyard, the house they'd built together providing the backdrop. Simone was maid of honor. Kenji gave Candace away since her father was gone, her mother was gone, but family was whoever showed up. Renee cried. Beverly cried. Every church lady cried. Even Levi's ex-wife came, hugged Candace, whispered, "Thank you for making him happy." Pastor Williams officiated. Talked about second chances. About choosing love even when it's scary. About building something real and lasting and worth the risk. When they said their vows, when they promised forever, when Levi slipped a ring onto her finger that she'd helped design because he'd insisted she should love it, Candace looked out at everyone watching. Her daughter, smiling through tears, engaged to her own forever person. Her sister, who'd apologized 100 times for doubting. Her friends, her community, the people who'd watched her survive divorce and loss and loneliness and come out the other side choosing joy. "I love you," Levi whispered. "I love you too." They kissed. Everyone cheered. And Candace Warren, now Candace Warren Brennan because she'd kept her name and added his, felt something settle deep in her chest. This was it. The thing she'd been searching for through 2 marriages and 15 years of playing it safe. Not perfection. Not certainty. Just love. Real and complicated and worth every moment of fear. 6 months after the wedding, Candace's residential practice was thriving. 18 projects. A waiting list. A feature in Atlanta magazine about architects reimagining what home means. She hired 2 junior architects, both young women, both hungry to build things that mattered. Levi started a consulting firm, helping startups navigate growth. He worked from home mostly, their office with the door that connected to hers, both of them building their separate things while staying connected. They had Sunday dinners. Church ladies still showed up uninvited bringing food and opinions. Simone visited quarterly, always with new stories about Tokyo, about her own upcoming wedding, about watching her mother live a life that looked nothing like what she'd planned and everything like what she needed. And on Christmas Eve, exactly 2 years after Levi first knocked on her door, they sat in their living room. Lights from the tree Candace had finally agreed to put up. Fire in the fireplace Levi had insisted they needed. Mary J. Blige playing softly because some traditions were worth keeping. "You know what I was doing 2 years ago?" Candace asked. "Eating lo mein alone and contemplating the void?" "Exactly. And now look at us." "I know. We're disgustingly happy. It's embarrassing." "It is. People should stop us." "Too late. We're committed now." He pulled her closer. "Any regrets?" She thought about it. About the fear she'd pushed through. About the voices she'd stopped listening to. About choosing risk over safety, joy over certainty, love over loneliness. Not even one. Me neither. They sat there as snow started falling outside. Rare for Atlanta but perfect for this moment. Candace thought about her mother. Wondered if she was watching, if she knew her plan had worked. 2 kids who loved each other at 17, separated by life and choices and 30 years of living, brought back together by a dying woman's wish and a Christmas Eve miracle. "Thank you, Mama," she thought, "for not giving up on us. For seeing what we couldn't see. For making him promise to find me." "What are you thinking about?" Levi asked. "How lucky I am." "We're both lucky." "No. I'm luckier. I got you. I got you too. That makes us equally lucky." "Fine. We're both lucky. But I'm slightly more lucky." "That's not how luck works." "It is now. I'm making new rules." He laughed, kissed the top of her head, held her close while snow fell and music played and their house, their home, settled around them like a promise kept. 54 years old. Married for the 3rd time. Building houses and a life and a future that looked nothing like the careful, safe path she'd planned at 17. And it was perfect. Not because it was easy. Not because it was certain. But because it was real. And messy. And complicated. And worth every single moment of fear. She'd spent 30 years proving she didn't need anyone. Now she was spending the rest of her life proving that needing someone wasn't weakness. It was strength. It was courage. It was choosing love even when it scared you. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." He squeezed her hand. Forever. Forever. And she believed it. What would you rate this story? Drop 0 to 10 in the comments right now. If this story moved you, hit subscribe for more emotional journeys every week. And if it truly touched your heart, consider leaving a super thanks. Your support helps us create more stories like this. Every contribution, big or small, means the world. Ready for the next story? It's even more dramatic than this one. Click now. Thank you for being part of this journey.